Call the committee of the whole of Monday, November the 24th to order. There's an agenda there in front of you. Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda? Councilors Forrester and Randawa. Any additions? All in favor? Any opposed? It is carried. We have one presentation. It's a presentation from Eco Trust and Prince Rupert School District number 52 with regards to the North Coast Food Hub. Come on forward. Sit down at the microphone. Take a moment, introduce yourselves, and take it away. And make sure your microphone's on. I can't quite tell if it's lit. Yeah, there it is. Yep, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pond and councillors, for allowing us to be here today to present our project and the things that are exciting things that are happening in Prince Rupert. My name is Diane Vilsash. I work for EcoTrust Canada. I am a food systems program manager, and this is one of my colleagues that I work with on this project.
Yeah. My name is Nadia Hallward, and I work for the school district here in Prince Rupert as the district food coordinator.
Okay. So, not sure. Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
So, who we are, EcoTrust Canada partners with communities to build sustainable place-based economies. Our work focuses on community-led solutions that advances local food security, climate resilience, and economic opportunity. On the North Coast, we're working with School District 52. The City of Prince Rupert has been a huge support to us over the last year, as well as the Mackay-Niska Society. And we're all working together to strengthen food sovereignty and food system resilience across Prince Rupert and surrounding Tsimshian territory. Oh, sorry, I think it might be out of order. In the last year, we've been fortunate enough to secure approximately $750,000 for Prince Rupert. The majority of that is being used to fund greenhouses on active school properties, as well as a community greenhouse at an inactive school property. And so currently we're in the process of building those greenhouses. I was here several months ago with a height variance application. And so actually this week we're putting up our first greenhouse at Conrad. And in addition to the greenhouses, we're also building outdoor growing spaces at all of the elementary schools, and we'll be expanding at most of the schools. And as the middle school is evolving, we'll be looking to expand there as well. In addition to greenhouses and garden spaces at school on school property, we're also building a commercial kitchen, or helping to build a fish processing kitchen to go along with the commercial kitchen that the port has funded for the school district. And in addition to that, we're also exploring composting and soil operation. As you know, Prince Rupert is built on rock and muskeg with no access to soil or compost for that matter. And so we're looking at doing that work in a later phase of this project. So this project is looking to be about 5 years initially, and then with longer term plans in the works. So the first year is about building the greenhouses and garden spaces on active and inactive school property, and to a lot of that food will go back into the school food programs. So you probably know that Prince Rupert experiences the highest child poverty rate in the province at around 24%, which is roughly 10 points higher than the provincial average. Our school district has 1,850 students. Approximately 465 are in the school meal programs. And a lot of those children express that that's their main meal that they have, or some of those children have expressed that that's the main meal that they have in a day. So a lot of the food, all the food that we're growing on Active School property is going back into the school meal programs. And up at Westview, we've reached an arrangement with the school district where 25% of all the food grown there will go back into school meal programs, 25% will go to service groups, and 50% will go back into the community through sales. So we're hoping to establish a community market at some point in probably early next summer. And we're also looking at introducing programming around food, whether it's growing, harvesting, processing, preserving, and that sort of thing. Some other work that we're involved in with this whole initiative is to find a better way to access seafood. So we are a coastal community. We live on an island, yet we have almost virtually zero access to our local seafood. And in fact, 90% of all the seafood that's harvested in Canada is sent to foreign markets. So that's some other work that we're working on as well behind the scenes. In addition to the funding that we received from PHEBC, we've also received an additional $200,000 through the School Food Infrastructure Fund, and we were successful in purchasing a reefer van for the school district so that they can deliver hot and cold food to all the schools in the district. And we've also received some funding. Some of that funding will go to more equipment for the fish processing kitchen at the school district and other supports for the greenhouses, such as LED lights and that sort of thing. So as I've said, this project serves students, families, and community members across Prince Rupert and the surrounding Tsimshian territory. It reaches over 1,850 students in School District 52, 64% of whom are Indigenous. And we're introducing hands-on learning and growing within the school system. And we hope to eventually add curriculum around growing and harvesting to the school system or district in the future. So the stages of the food systems transformation that we're involved in. Currently, we're in the seeding stage. We're establishing the school greenhouses, as I said, and gardens to grow food. We're creating learning opportunities and providing welcoming spaces for students and community members. Germinating stage, we're also in that stage. We're building community partnerships and developing governance, advisory structure, strengthening networks, and fostering equitable collaboration. While processes for accountability and transparency are still emerging, these foundations will support future growth and shared decision making. And rooting, we are laying the foundation for sharing knowledge through the Community Food Action Plan. While co-creation of knowledge and leveraging community leaders are still in the early stages, these efforts will guide future collaboration and strengthen our local food system. And the growing, this stage focuses on the large-scale collaborative projects and research that drive systemic change. And while our work hasn't reached that level yet, it represents a future goal as we expand our project and the impact is deepened across the North Coast food system. So key highlights, I just wanted to share some photos. We're in the early stages of this project. So this is Conrad School. This is the greenhouse space, and we're literally in the last few days been building the greenhouse that will be the structure that will go on that base. We hope to be finished in about 2 weeks' time from now. Conrad did have an existing small greenhouse, and so we've purchased yellow cedar because, number one, it's traditional wood for our area, and it will also last 30 years. And one of the students at Conrad was in the greenhouse, and it just smells amazing, as yellow cedar does. And he said, you know, this smells just like my papa's house. So it was just really kind of heartwarming to see that even the wood that we're choosing is resonating with the students. And so there's another photo. These are all brand new beds. They've all been filled and they've actually been growing food. So We hired our greenhouse coordinator July 21st, and this photo was taken 2 months ago actually, and we've actually harvested quite a bit of food already, which has been going into the school meal programs and also up to Charles Hayes for the Megan Cooper's food class. The students are very, very excited. Oftentimes we have to almost kick them out of the greenhouse space so we can get work done. But when they're on their recess and breaks, they're in there, they want to rake and shovel and do all kinds of work helping. So it's really exciting to see the passion that these students already have for something that's just at its early stages in development. And so here we have students helping to, well, we did harvesting potatoes and planting garlic, and they're harvesting a little bit of beans and peas and radishes. And again, this one is up at Conrad. And then we have students harvesting potatoes at Charles Hayes and some other greens.
The Food
And-
Forest Trail is right beside Roosevelt, where students can explore and learn about local plants here in Prince Rupert. It's a place to taste new foods, different kinds of berries, and to see where these plants grow and what ecosystems they need. A space where teachers can bring their classes to sit and learn outside. I believe this will have a positive impact on the schools because it lets the kids be outside in nature and explore all of these different types of plants and ecosystems. And I hope that they'll take what they've learned and bring it home to share with their families, and maybe even be inspired by the garden to garden themselves.
So that jumped a little bit ahead, but I wanted to say that we're also developing a small food forest at an existing forest space up at Roosevelt Elementary School. And that video was of our summer student who spent part of the summer cleaning up the site and making it safe for the children. The other photo on that previous slide, I'm afraid if I go back to it, it'll play the video again. So we also have been fortunate enough to secure two young volunteers under 30 who have been really helpful. They spend about 4 hours a week with us working at different sites throughout the community, helping with us. So in this photo here, they're up at Roosevelt as well, working and making the site safe for the students. And just some photos of things that have been growing in the last few months. We still are harvesting tomatoes. We just finished taking out the cucumbers, but there's all kinds of things still growing, so it's really exciting. And just a few weeks ago, Nadia was working with the high school students in they made some pickles, and they were learning how to dehydrate some herbs as well. And just another photo of that. And thank you, Mayor Pond. Do you have any questions?
Questions or comments? Councilor Randhawa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. Great work. Thank you. My questions is this year-round project or only summertime they can involve? Second, what's the age kids can go there? Is this volunteer, or is it part of the course, or they get credits for that? And yeah, so that's one.
Thank you, Councillor Randhawa. So to answer your first question, the funding does end March 31st, 2026. However, we're actively searching for more funding to continue with the project. PHABC has made a considerable investment in this project, and so we're also waiting to see if there's more funding coming through PHABC, but we're actively pursuing other funds to keep the project going. To your second question, I might have your questions.
Students, is this volunteer only, or they get any credits for that, or who can
Yes.
participate there?
So at the moment, there is no credit, curriculum-based credit uh, issued out. However, we are actively working with the schools, and I don't know, Nadia, if you want to jump in on that, but we are working with the schools and creating some programming that the teachers can sign up for with their class, and I'll let you talk more about that.
Yeah, so we've within the school district we have talked about the idea of creating a board authorized course for agriculture studies. And so as this project progresses and we see more opportunity to do that, that would be probably a high school level course. And there is interest from our superintendent to have that happen. It's a process, obviously, so it takes a bit of time. And then there's a lot of opportunity to integrate the learning into like food literacy activities with elementary age and middle school students as well. So that is kind of what Diane was speaking to in terms of finding more activities and opportunities for teachers to engage with the garden and being able to facilitate that with the teachers. Yeah.
I'm going to revisit Councilor Randall's first question. If funding wasn't an issue, would these be still seasonal? Would they go summer? What would be the plan?
So the plan is, and it's something we're actively working on right now, is to find a way to either use solar, wind, or a combination of both to make all the greenhouses sort of self-sufficient and run year-round. So we want to include water catchment. We want them to be powered, standalone power, and also, we have growing lights that are run on LED, so the power draw is lower. But the goal would be to grow year round. I think we have the conditions here that is possible.
Councilor Neef.
Thank you for your presentation. It sounds like an amazing project. The one thing that that I think there was a few concerns when talking about the greenhouses is with potential vandalism or how they're secured. So, because I would hate to see any work that could be undone in a matter of minutes. I'm sure by someone that wanted to get into them. So I'm just wondering, is there any plans to have them secured so that the hard work's not destroyed?
Thank you for your question. Sorry, Councillor Niche. So the school maintenance department is investing in upgrading the security cameras up at Westview, and the main garden right now at Conrad is fenced in, and we've applied for funding to add an additional fencing to that garden so it can be secured and locked up. So those plans are in the work. We didn't receive funding for that specifically, but we recognize that that is a potential issue, and we're working to resolve that as quickly as possible. Additionally, I'd like to say too that we've had numerous people stop by. They see us working in the spaces either at Conrad or at Westview mostly, and they're interested in volunteering and be kind of stewards of the spaces when there's no one around. So we've had a wonderful retired teacher who stopped by just last week, and she was very excited to, she wants to volunteer. She says she keeps an eye out all the time for us. And so I think the community is starting to kind of rally around the project, and the kids are also extremely excited for it. So I believe that, with all the things that we're, working towards, that in the interim, I'm hopeful that, we'll be able to sneak through until the fencing's up.
Any other questions? Councilor Ady.
Yeah, thanks. It's a big project. It's an interesting one. I hope it really works. I'm curious about a couple of things. One, whether in terms of what you're choosing to grow there and what the goals are in terms of the product, whether you're building on the experience of the downtown urban garden that was, I think it was maybe 4 years ago it was there for, I think 2 years. Whether that is informing this in terms of the planning? And my second question is with regard to Westview School, that being the school that doesn't have a school population there, I'm wondering whether you're trying to do different things there, given that you'd have to transport kids up there to do the work that the school kids would be doing.
Yes. So I'm so sorry. Can you repeat your first question? I was thinking about your second question. I'm like, flew out of my head.
I made a joke about that earlier, but I won't repeat it. First question was whether you're building on the experience of the downtown project.
Yes. So the downtown project was an Ecotrust led project, and we actually created a document entitled Lessons Learned. So you can find that online. We also recognized that when that project started, it was right at the start of the COVID pandemic. And so there were challenges with that. We weren't able to secure funding to continue. So that greenhouse was repurposed up at Roosevelt School. And so, yes, there were lots of lessons learned around that. And we're taking those lessons to heart. I feel that today is a different time. You know, we've gone through the pandemic. People are understanding the shortages, which they might not have understood. They're understanding the importance of food security and how vulnerable we actually are. We are at the end of the road, essentially. We rely on our food being trucked into big box stores, chain stores, and we need to take back some of that food sovereignty, which really means control over the food and where it comes from. So we take that very seriously, absolutely. In terms of having students at Westview, I believe that there's field trips already planned to visit the different greenhouses around, and we also are planning to offer programming, which a lot of that would take place up at Westview School. And if you want to speak to that more about the students.
Yeah, so as Diane said, one kind of really interesting integration of all these greenhouses is the opportunity for district-wide field trips to see the different sites and how they all grow different foods and take kids around in that way, with, of course, the use of the maintenance school buses. And for Westview specifically, because as you say, there's no students there to tend the garden, my hope is to engage Pacific Coast specifically with that garden because they don't have a space of their own to do that. And there's a lot of willingness and keenness from those students to have a project to kind of take ownership of. So that's who I'm going to kind of push for to get up there and work in that space.
If I could just add to that too, we're in the process of developing a youth advisory or a youth garden group, I should say, up at Charles Hayes. I think the first meeting was today. And so those students will also be involved in some of those activities.
Councillor Cunningham.
Thanks for the presentation. It's a great project and I hope it's successful. A couple of things. I like the idea of markets because if you go to Terrace on a Saturday, farmers market, and also from a funding point of view, if your funding dries up like it did for the downtown one, alternate sources of funding.
Yeah.
And if you've got markets that are making a profit, it can be put back into it. I know food sustainability in this town has been a dream, and it always seems to get started and dies. And although the enthusiasm and everything's there, and that, but if you're at the whim of the federal and provincial governments for funding, sometimes it's a whim. And I'd hate to see a project of this importance disappear simply because somebody in some little squirrel in Ottawa or Victoria decides it's not necessary to fund it. So alternative funding is something that might be something to look at in the future. And seafood market, it's been a dream of Rupert for years and years. It would, if you can get some fishermen to buy in, they're coming in with their catch. It would be a godsend from a funding point of view.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. We are actually treating this like a business, and we are developing a business plan for sustainability. So some of the projects that I mentioned, such as the compost making, soil making operation, would actually generate a considerable amount of funds back into our project. So we're working hard towards some of these activities, such as a local market, seafood or composting, soil operation, and as well as finding improving access to seafood, and as well as programming. Those things will all help generate some funds, and we're looking at other ideas as well.
Just to add on to that, through the Public Health Agency, a BC grant, they have access to a company called Green Chain Consulting, who helps projects like this achieve sustainability. And so we're going to be also working with them to help develop our business plan as well around this. Yeah.
Good to hear, because we see these projects start, and then it's sad when you see a good project like this sort of blow away simply because of funding or something like that. So if it becomes self-sustainable, like you're talking about food programs for the schools and that, which we need big time in this town, but with the poverty level and kids coming to school hungry and that, but at the end of the day, it's also got to be somewhat of a profitable venture.
I was just going to add that the programming isn't just for students, but as well as for the community as a whole. So we hope to generate some funds as well through community involvement that would be interested in learning how to process food, grow food. Our goal is essentially to help develop more gardens throughout the community.
To Ken Small?
Yes, many times.
Thank you so much. I always enjoy these presentations and having you come and share hope, because that's what this really is. It's hope for our community for food sustainability. My question is there anything that you are hoping we as a council or we as a city can do to support the work that you're doing?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Forster. And yes, we're actually, there are some challenges such as height variance. If that could be raised, that could be very helpful. We also notice that there's a lot of green space that the city owns in different neighborhoods that are really underutilized. And our hope one day is to come back and see if there's a way that we can create community gardens, for neighborhood gardens, I should say, so that they're utilized in a better way. So those are some of the goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Pond.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the committee as a whole. Councilors Forster and Randawa, all in favor? Any opposed? It is carried. We will